If you haven't watched Supacell yet, I hope it's because you either haven't had time or you've never heard of it until now, because it is a fantastic, amazing, interesting, exciting show. So Supercell is about 5 South Londoners who all gain superpowers, and the only thing they have in common is that they're all black. If you watch the trailer, you will see that one of them has the power to travel to the future. There he finds out that his fiance dies. And so future him tells him that he has a couple of months to stop it, to keep her alive. And the key to this is finding the other 4 people so that he can save his fiance. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. There are 6 episodes. Go watch it. And now we're going to get into spoilers because this is all about my reaction and my thoughts about the show. So I'm going to start with some higher level stuff, like general stuff, and then I'm going to zoom in into each of the characters, including Dion, and then we'll zoom back out and talk about that twist at the end. Okay? So, loved it. Like, I love, like, the twist, the climaxes, and there are multiple climaxes. I mean, it's a show about, like, one person who has to find, you know, multiple other people. And so each time they found each other, like when Sabrina opened the door and was like, hey, you know, and like it turns around and you see it's him, it was like, yes. All the times where they walk right by each other, that scene where Michael and Andre were sitting back to back as Michael was lamenting about needing to find the others, it was so good and so riveting. So let's start with Michael. Okay, Michael is like the man of the hour, the reason for the season. Really, Dion is the reason for the season. But Michael had a very hard job. Okay, he's been given this task by his future self to find these people to save his fiance. It's ironic that Michael's power is the one that has to do with time, because ever since he comes back from the future, he is stuck in time. His life has stopped. The other characters, you see them, you know, they keep on living. They're having these interactions. They're very much in the present. Michael is living for the future. It's all about finding these strangers. It's all about stopping. He hasn't even dealt with what he saw. He just wants to prevent it from happening. His relationship is falling apart. I found him very interesting as a character. Like, he kept my attention. His story was kind of, I won't say dull, but it was like his story was set from the very beginning. You knew what he was all about because of what he saw. Michael had to find these people, and it was a tough sell because he couldn't tell them exactly why he wanted their help, which I found very smart. Like, because imagine he bears his chest out like that and says, hey, I need you to help me because what? I need you to help me because my fiance will die in the future. And what if they say no? Because everyone he met turned him away. And I love that each of the characters had their own authentic lives. When I started the show, I really thought they were going to come together to save Dion. But we got to the end, and the only person who cared about saving Dion was Michael, which is absolutely fine because, like I said, they all had their own full, fleshed out, authentic lives. And yes, they all ended up in the same place, but it was their own individual storylines that got them there. So, you know, Rod really only got on the bandwagon because he wanted to save Spud. Sabrina went there to save her sister, like to question Crazy and find out where the hell is Char. Taser was there because he wanted revenge on, you know what I mean? So everyone was ended up in the same place, but it was only because of their own like internal compulsion based on stuff that had gone down in their lives, and I really loved that. Because when we got to the end, still the only person who cared about saving Dion was Michael. And I think that was a very good use of the episode allotment and the time that we had. Dion, Michael's other half, Dion was a great character. I didn't expect them to do so much with her, but they did. And I'm glad for it. Ratman, like, I bow. Great show. Because I've noticed every episode was written by him. Okay? Tyler Perry is jealous. Dion was on her Lois Lane, Iris West tip. She was in her bag with investigating and trying to figure everything out. And you see that she wanted to protect Michael as badly as Michael wanted to protect her, right? With when the man, Jasmine's father asked her, what can your man do? What does he do? And you see her hesitate because A, she doesn't want anybody to come after Michael, but also B, she does not want Michael to become further entrenched in this world. And so she hesitates. But she is a good person. She's a social worker, but she is as much as of a hero, or even more so than anybody else, who got actual powers. And even after she finds out what's going to happen to her and she's on the scene with the rest of them, when that Hood is rocking up to Michael, she stands in front of him and is like, no, leave him alone. Their love for each other was just so palpable. It was so sad to see the stress in their relationship. Just like Dion, I completely understood why Michael could not tell her, because again, how do you even say that? And again, Michael himself had not accepted the future, right? He wasn't using any of the time left to cherish the moments with Dion and create good memories, because as far as Marco was concerned, there was no such thing as the time like running out, even though he was running out of time. Thing is, I knew, like, especially when Rod was like, well, the butterfly effect, that means that she may have, more time now. And Michael was like, yeah. And I'm like, but it also means she may have less time. Nevertheless, with all that, with that knowledge, when he couldn't teleport back, I was like, what? I was like, what? You're really gonna do this for real? Girl, they took Dion. But rewind to that scene after Michael tells her. Oh, it was so sad. Adedayo gave me so much in that scene. It was so heartbreaking to watch her try to accept. Like, she was cosplaying acceptance. Like, no, yeah, like, not a lot of people get this chance, like, to know when they're gonna go. It just means that I get to spend more time with I get to say goodbye to my mom, and I get to spend more time with you, like, cherish the time I have. Like, everybody's gotta go sometime. And she's trying so hard to accept it and put on this brave face. And Michael's like, nah, no. And then she breaks down in his arms and says, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to. It was so good. So sad. And when Michael couldn't go back, ooh! Oh, it was so heartbreaking. His despair, that was so good. It was just heart-wrenching. And I'm just thinking about how much Michael is going to think about this, right? We cut to like immediate action, like he's in his hoodie, he's like, now we're gonna stop everybody. But I just know in his mind, when he goes to bed at night and it's just him, I know he's replaying the decisions. Not that it's of any help, because Dion was dead in both instances. Both went crazy. Okay, like the twist in this show. Okay, I'm derailing, but like the connections that we that were revealed to us as we went on. The fact that Crazy A was out of jail. B, the fact that he is Char's man, his jailbird ex, and then the reveal that he's part of the hoods. He's part of the gang. He belonged to two gangs. Anyway, when Taser asked him, like, how'd you get out of jail? Or maybe Char, and he was like, I have a great solicitor. I was like, But I wasn't expecting that. Anyways, yeah, I know Michael's gonna be haunted. I want a season 2 so bad. Please give me season 2. Okay. So let's move on to my favorite character, Taser. Tayo is my favorite character. Let me know who you love, who's your favorite, but Tayo is my favorite character. The actor, Josh Tedeku, gave me so much. He also gave me a lot. At every moment, Taser always looked like he was strategizing. Like, his gaze was so heavy and so haunted. He always looked like he, not plotting, not planning, but strategizing. Even before the reveal about his powers, Taser always looked like he was strategizing. Like, he was thinking about how to get him and his boys up. There's a dangerous evolution and an evolution of danger in Taser's storyline. It's so interesting to go back and watch how him and his boys escalated. Because, first of all, he always was about that life. Okay? During that first fight, them boys ran and Taser stayed. Like, he always looked like he was ready for this. Like, he was ready for the big time. Whereas his boys, like, over the course of the show, the more they were confronted with, I'll say, like, hard life, they would balk. Like, they balked at, testing the droga, smelling it. Like, they just, like, seemed like they were kind of just in a club. You know what I mean? Like, they would rough people up, beat some people up. But as far as, like, the hard style stuff, the actual knifing, and definitely shooting and all that stuff, like, they weren't really familiar with that, but they were on. Or even, like, after Taser got hurt, after he got stabbed, and I think it was Screamer in the hospital when they were visiting Taser, who said, like, we'll die for you, or we'll die with you, and one of them, I don't remember his name, I can't find it, he was like, hi, what? So there's an evolution where they become harder, like they take more risks, they get into the drug business, or expand the drug business, and then get into, like, wielding guns, and then going after Crazy himself. They escalate for him, and then, like, they're riding dirty, get pulled over by the cops, there's stuff in the car, and they go to jail. Where were they at the end? Are they still in jail? Anyways, at the same time that things are escalating, you see how green Taser is. Taser's got the passion, he's got the will, but he doesn't have the smarts / forethought. Like, he's still new to this. He's not true to this, okay? You see, like, that plan he came up with, that first plan, the one that got Tiny shot, no forethought. Because how do you not think about the fact that this could even possibly blow back on Tiny? Like, it was so obvious that Tiny himself thought of it. Like, he was like that's what was it, his cousin? Like, this is gonna come back on him. And it did. And Taser, when Tiny brought it up, was like, like, he brushed it off. And again, like, when things blew back on the cousin and on Tiny, yes, Taser stepped up. He's got the heart. He's a leader. He's willing to get down and dirty for his people. But you gotta think about, he needs to grow into thinking about, first of all, he needs to get out of that life. But while he's in it, he needs to think bigger. His powers are not the problem, are not the solution to everything. His power is a get out of jail free card for him and him alone. Literally, when the police rocked up, he got out, turned invisible, and he could then do nothing to save his boys. So he's got a lot of growing to do, and please bring the show back. I'm so interested to find out how he does grow, how things play out for him. I don't believe, like, with the tone of this show, it has a very, like, realistic bent to it. And let me address the fact that, like, they were just using their powers, meanwhile there are cameras. It said to me that they are so used, like all of us, to living in a surveillance state that they don't even think about it. Like, they don't even, like, the cameras are very much a regular part of their lives, like they're a regular part of our lives, that they never look up. They never look up. They're looking around at the people, but as far as the cameras, like, it's just so ingrained that is a part of their lives. I think it worked that they never, like, oh my god, there are cameras, because they're just so used to being under surveillance. Living where they are. I don't know anything about South London, but living where they do, as most people who live in big cities, but also being black people, right? Being black people and just being under surveillance by the government. The meetup between Michael and Taser was such a highlight. The way Michael rocked up, didn't waste it. Like, Taser's boys were like, hey, yo, blah, blah. And Michael just showed his powers. No words needed. He just showed his powers. He was like, and I don't remember, I think he said, like, I'm like you. I don't remember what he said anymore. But I just love that he just cuts to the chase, showed himself, and that was that. When Taser puffed up against Sabrina, I was like, boy, you must not know about Sabrina. But we'll get to Sabrina. Taser is reckless, and he needs to grow from that. And part of the heaviness that I talked about on his face and in his eyes is, the reveal again, like reveals on top of reveals. That was his mom that we watched get killed at the beginning. That's part of it too. Like, he had something very confusing happen to him not so long ago, right? His mom just walked out and he's just, again, not dealing with it. Nobody's helping him deal with it. He's just pushing forward the best he knows how to make a better life for him, his grandmother, and his friends. I love Taser. Now, let's move on and talk about someone whose mother actually abandoned him on purpose. Rod. Rod's story meandered along. Him and Andre. I love Andre. I love Rod too. I love all of them. Taser's my favorite. My second favorite person I'm saving for last. But Rod's story did meander along just because Rod himself is so self-assured. Right? He's so self-assured. He gets his powers and immediately is like, I know how we can use this for the business. He knows who he is. He knows what he needs to do. He knows who he is. He knows where he wants to be, which is like financially stable. And he knows how to get there. Right? Everything's all set for him until Spud walks right into the bait. Until Spud takes the bait. Then his entire world shifts. And then we just get a dump of trauma, right? So he goes to see his mother. And Rod's mother is a white woman who abandoned her half-black son visibly, because I don't know if his sister is also mixed or if his sister is white and she had him like from a relationship prior. She abandons her visibly half-black son as soon as a white man steps into her life and says, abandon him. She does so. And here comes Rod during the second most horrible moment in his life, to ask this woman to please see him, to ask her for compassion, to ask her to give for once, because the only person who cares about him is in the hospital. Rod's reality is shifting and is not done shifting until he knows what's going to happen to Spud, right? They're saying he may never walk. His world is shifting and hasn't settled back into place and hasn't settled into a new shape yet because he doesn't know what's going to happen to Spud. Okay? So he's there, desperate, emotional, tears in his eyes, asking this woman to please give compassion, give a care. He's like, yeah, like water under the bridge that you abandoned me when I was 16 and I had to live in a hostel. Water under the bridge. Can I please have somewhere to stay? Because he doesn't want to be alone. And this woman says, you need to leave because my husband's on his way back. And she has the nerve to act like it hurts her to say this when it doesn't, because she's selfish. It was heartbreaking. It was so sad. And then it said so much about Rod and, the way he has to bury everything, again, like Taser, and just keep living. Because when he shows up to Michael to like be like, okay, I'm in. That's exactly what he said. Okay, I'm in. Like, mask on, acting like he has no weight on his shoulders. He's just here for the fun. And I love the reveal when, not the fun, but like the mission. And I love the scene where he tells Michael, like, hey, so like after I help you with this, like, can you help my friend? Like, can you like rewind time or whatever you do, like, to save him? That's what I mean about like, just like these characters are so driven by their own world, their own very rich, very intricate world. Love that. So when we get to the climactic scene, Crazy takes Rod's power. And by the time that happened, I forgot that he could do that. Because I was just like, there was so much going on. And so like, Rod's like, let me check. And he goes, and then he's like, oh, it's just whatever it was. And next thing you know, here comes Crazy. And it all happened, like, it was so fitting. I told my friend this, like, I thought it was so fitting that he took Rod's powers. First of all, it was the most like effective one. But it happened so fast for them, and it happened so fast for me. It happened so fast for them, they didn't have time to react. And Crazy went crazy on Taser, bro. The hatred just came out. Ooh, they had no time to react, and neither did I was just like, everybody. And then he goes over to Dion, and he looked like, my friend said he looked like the devil, and he looked like the damn devil. That was a great shot. Yeah, that scene was crazy. Let's talk about Andre. Andre is the person who was falsely arrested when he was young. I think he said he was 18 or something. He was very young, and he was falsely arrested. I'm sure the police did not care. He also like he said, like he explained his mentality of no snitching, and also his naivete, because he was like, I'm not gonna snitch, but also like I'm innocent, so the law is gonna work on my side. And it's like, no, you are black. The law is not gonna work on your side. And so that mistake has changed his life for the worst. He cannot keep a job. And I felt like the embarrassment that Andre feels at not being the embarrassment that Andre feels at the fact that AJ knows he can't keep a job, it was coming out of his pores. I felt it. I saw it in his face. I felt it for him. He is so embarrassed that his son knows he can't keep a job, that his son knows he can't provide for him. Andre can't provide for his son the way he wants to. He can't help the mother of his child. I think her name is Aisha. Like, he can't help her the way he wants to. He is stuck. And when he tries to do the right thing and be, not the right thing, but he tries to be honest with one of the, potential employers, he doesn't get the job. And that's one of the things like I love about the show, like that rawness, those examples of rawness, like the fact that freaking Taser's grandmother got beat up, or the fact that Taser went off on Veronica and beat her up. Like, those raw, it's so funny with Taser's story because being American, when they stepped out and they were wielding knives, I was, like, I was taking it seriously, but I was also a little like, oh, not so scary, not like guns here, like, our gangsters. But over the course of the series, I was tense as they got deeper, even before they even started wielding guns, just because like the tension was so palpable, the buildup was so good. Anyways, back to Andre. Yeah, so when he tells the employer, he still gets rejected, and so he's pushed. I see it. He like his friend sucks, pushing him to like go rob a safe. I don't want him to. I want him to like stay on the path, but stay on the path of what? He can't get a job, and he has bills to pay. His rent. He also has a giant bill in the form of a son. It was very interesting to watch him and AJ watch their paths merge, because like they went from being they merged because AJ was out and out selling, right? Was he selling or is he just facilitating? Either way, he'd still get busted for the role that he was playing. They both had friends influencing them down the wrong path, and they both did it. Like Andre robbed that safe, and then eventually he took that job, which surprised me. It surprised me that he took the job that man offered him. But the surprise didn't last long because, like, he said his son, AJ. But it's also so, like, you know what I mean? Like, Andre is not, like, he's forced to become gray due to the cards that life has dealt him. Like he agrees to go around kidnapping people for money. They threaten his son. And he agrees. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a rock and a hard place. Let me know what you think about Andre. I will say also, the storyline between him and AJ, the development and breakdown of that is so juicy. Because the overreaction, and it was an overreaction, objectively, it's an overreaction that AJ had to Andre not picking up the phone. It tells so much about how weak their relationship is. Because their relationship is made up of gifts and good times. They don't know hard times. They don't know conflict like that, right? Andre is the fun parent, right? He buys him iPhones, sneakers, whatever, movies. And so Because of that, I don't know if Andre realizes he can't afford to make mistakes. He can't afford to disappoint AJ. Because when he does, AJ throws the entire relationship away and decides to follow a dude that he knows his dad doesn't want him around. AJ doesn't know his father. AJ doesn't know that his father is a hard sleeper. If they had a relationship of substance, that knock and missed call would be nothing to AJ. But there's nothing there, so AJ fills in the gaps with bad things about Andre. Very interesting. Last but not least, before we zoom back out, let's talk about Sabrina, my second favorite character. Sabrina, I found very compelling. Sabrina is naive and she's a hard worker. And despite that, you see the effect of how she and Char were raised. Now, we don't get a lot of details about how they were raised, the environment they were raised, and as well as like the people who raised them. But there's a sense of like, we're all we have. And I think there was a scene alluding to that, or dialogue alluding to that, like we're all we have. All we have is each other. And over the course of the season, you see that Sabrina essentially was forced into the parent role. Like she's the responsible one. Nevertheless, you see the negative effects of how she was raised. Char is obvious, okay? She's dating a drug dealer. She's in an abusive relationship. She's been abused before. But Sabrina is willing to accept horrible treatment. Like she accepts it from that boyfriend or no boyfriend or whatever, or situation, whatever it is. Like she's over here stood up and is making excuses for him. You get the sense that she's unappreciated at work until she wasn't, but she's unappreciated at work. You know, she doesn't stand up for herself. She's also taken advantage of by her sister. Most of all, she's taken advantage of by her sister. The most powerful thing that Sabrina said in the season was, you know, as the oldest, sometimes I need someone to tell me that it's gonna be okay. And Char hugs her and tells her it's gonna be okay, and then she continues to be a problem. Char did nothing for Sabrina. All she did was take. She's manipulative. She's entitled. She feels entitled to her sister's time and efforts. The way she huffed and puffed out of the house when she found the note. Speaking of the note, Sabrina was gonna go tell the police that she has powers. What was the plan? But even though Sabrina is like naive and a doormat, nothing activates her like her sister. Nothing activates her more than protecting Char. Oh, you're gonna threaten Char? She will rock up to a grown man, to a drug dealer. Okay, she will threaten a man behind her sister. She will kill a man behind her sister by accident. But she meant that throw. Okay? And it's so interesting. Char is Sabrina's superpower. She's also her kryptonite. Homegirl needs to set some serious boundaries with her sister. Like, she became like that scream that yell that she like guttural scream she let out when she like dropped that structure on that man, all in the name of finding Char and figuring out what's like when Taser rocked up and she was like, yeah, Sabrina has another side to her that I'm interested to see. Again, please give us another season. I'm interested to see her shed the timidity. I hope that's a word. The like naivete and be more confident at all times or most times instead of being like this kind of like almost Jekyll and Hyde that we only see in reference to protecting Char. So those are my thoughts on all of the characters. Love them, want them back. Let's talk about that twist at the end. Listen, when that lady, first of all, that sickle cell center, tell me why it's a whole operation to suss out people who like have the gene or like, you know, whose families have the gene because they know that the gene can skip people or like the gene has mutated and gives some people powers. I love this lore. I love it. It's so creative that sickle cell, which I figured out that Supacell was sickle cell in the third episode. I don't remember what was said or what made it click for me, but I just think it's so creative. I think it's so appropriate. Like, black people are most affected. So, most of the people that we see, all of the people that we see who are in prison are black. But yeah, that sickle cell center was like sus. And, again, the reveal little by little, like the fact that like Taser donates blood and like Andre's father had sickle cell. I just love the way information was revealed in this show. When that white lady rocked up with the black woman, I was immediately suspicious. Because let's talk about how Ratman chose to describe this show, right? They could have said 5 people discover they have powers, and the only thing they have in common is that they live in South London. Instead, he chose to say 5 South Londoners discovered they have powers, and the only thing they have in common is that they're black. And blackness is very prominent in this show in multiple ways through the cultures and all that stuff. And part of blackness being present is racism is present. So you had like comments that Dion and Michael made about like the coverage of the black people who have gone missing and how like the police aren't really going to do anything. They would do more for Jasmine if she was white, stuff like that. And so, like, I was primed for that. And so, in the first step, which that scene happened later between Michael and Dion. Either way, when that lady, white lady, walked in with the black lady, it was giving chaperone. I was like, why does this black woman need a chaperone? That's what it gave. Like, she was there to chaperone her. And the interaction was pretty predatory. The niceness didn't seem so nice. It seemed very, very fake. And, when I went back to rewatch that scene specifically after I finished the series, because I knew when they revealed her who it was, but I wanted to make sure. So I went back and looked, and she gave Michael a look, which I don't know if I paid much attention to the first time. I may have chalked it up to like this lady's racist or something like that, but she gave him a look. But that first scene, even not zooming in on the look, she felt off. Her presence felt off. Why are you here to give the information instead of the black woman? And so when they revealed that there was a bigger bad than the man that we saw, I was like, yo, please bring this back. Also, the reveal that Taser didn't die until he died. Like, it was perfect. I love this show. 5 out of 5 season. Great beginning, middle, and cliffhanger. Okay, it's not an end, it's a cliffhanger, and I just pray that they bring it back. Give me all of your thoughts about Supacell. Give me your predictions. Hopefully we'll get to find out if you're right or not. I just want to see how they grow. I just want to see how they get to know each other. I want to know the state of their I'm curious about the state of their relationship in the future. Since they didn't end the season being mates, I want to know, are they people, by the time we saw them in the future, are they friends? Or are they just people who come together because they have to? How far in the future are we? Ratman says he's got ideas for 3 seasons already. Like, he's got 2 more seasons of this. And I just hope to the Lord above that Netflix sees fit to... And I don't want to hear about like numbers and stuff. I understand that that's part of it, but there is some shit that's on air that, you know what I'm like, I just want Netflix to give the show time. I feel like they need to expand their criteria for renewing shows. First of all, I just want Netflix to give the show time to prove itself, and time to prove itself, I feel, should include a season 2 to prove itself. Come on now. If we go back to before streaming, some shows didn't hit their stride until season 3. You know what I mean? So let me not dwell too much on that. Who's your favorite character? Who has your favorite power? Who's your least favorite character if you have one? Who do you find most annoying? Tell me everything. Let's talk about Supacell in the comments.